What's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning into the second week of the Point Spread presented by Fantasy Points. Got a guest tonight joining me for tonight's show from BetSperts Golf from Mayo Media Network. You can find him in a lot of places. Jeff Feinberg. Jeff, how's it going?
Oh, I'm happy to throw down with you tonight, buddy, talking all things RBC.
Absolutely. NFL draft right around the corner. No, we're both pretty excited for that now that the
16 days. 16
Masters
days.
is behind us. Kind of gets real now. So obviously still have golf events to kind of keep us busy here, but it's definitely in the back of my mind heading into all these events. So I'm sure you're probably is your card locked in for this week, or are you still kind of playing with it a little bit?
No, I'm playing with it. I got 3 bets locked in. I don't know if we'll get there when we get there. You want me to give them now? But I've made 3 bets. I got room. It's a lot of guys in that sort of 50 to 60, 70 to 1 range. Then I'm still deciding between some intriguing options as far as I'm concerned, or just a number of options that have made it hard for me to make some final decisions.
Yeah, it's a weird mix, especially like as elite as the top is. I mean, we kind of saw it last year, but I kind of looked back at the guys who were 30 to 1 and shorter last year, and although they didn't win, we had Sink win at 150 roughly. A lot of those guys towards the top, Jeff, were finishing near the top of the board. Like, these guys didn't have any type of Masters hangover. I had 13 guys 30 to 1 or shorter last year. 11 made the cut. 9 of the 11 finished T18 or better. So it's not that we can overlook the top, but they come to play.
Yeah, so that's actually something that's, I guess, would make my perception a reality here. This isn't like the MX, I think, when we talk about long shots. Despite Sink, Kodaira, CT Pan, rein it in like quickly. It's really a nose hair from being totally flipped, in the sense that I feel like Pan, for however it's possible, this place has been pretty weird. Pan's able to outduel DJ in the final group. Sink's able to outduel Morikawa in the final group. And I could be and I recall even Bryson being there pretty deep in a recent RBC heritage. So as much as it's been all chalk, if you look at the recent winner's circle, behind that we had bombs in the recent winner's circle. We have had guys like Webb and Furyk and Kuchar win here in recent history below that 20 to 1 as well, and a few long shots can kind of change the narrative, but I am sort of still betting on the good players to be better than the other players, Dom.
Yeah, and it seems like ever since that 2020 year that Webb won, this event has picked up some steam in terms of field strength. I saw you were talking about earlier this week Wesley Bryan. Did you have a ticket on him back when he won?
Yeah, this event's Wesley Bryan. I did have a ticket. I think it was like 60 or 70 to 1. Was also able to hit Grace here. Now that you're just making me do this, but Grace here piggybacking a Willett win at the Masters. So I must have been feeling like D'Lo Brown during those times. And I'll shout it out for him. I know my partner in crime, Pat Mayo, this was his biggest win ever on DraftKings with that Kodaira win that ended up snaking. I mentioned a lot of the good players have gotten burned at the finish line here. Siwoo Kim blew it and lost in a playoff to Kodaira. Siwoo Kim was probably right around what he paid this week. But nonetheless, a lot of these long bombs that have won here, they've been on the nose hair from losing to players with, from Morikawa to DJ to Siwoo Kim. So I like we've alluded to, I still think I'm going to end up betting the good players.
Yeah, I remember, I think one of my first wins before betting became legal in Michigan was CT Pan at like 150. It was on an offshore. Never saw the money, obviously, because the playthroughs, you know how it goes. But I don't even know if I technically count that as a win based off of what happened there. But a win's a win. Got to use the money for some bets or whatnot. But Getting into the top of the board, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck here. Shane Lowry, Jeff. I'm not trying to get tunnel vision because I've been riding him in my season-long league, but the last thing that I want to do is miss out on a win. And I feel like this is a good spot for him. Could it be St. Andrews a little bit down the road? Maybe. But at the same time, you get these guys who you bet week in and week out, and it's like, when do you stop?
Totally fair. I will only just argue this one, maybe the shortest number of them all. I like Shane Lowry a lot this week. I think I'm even seeing DJ's number climbing, and I want to completely dispel the narrative, Dom, that he's only here because of his sponsor. If he was only here because of his sponsor, he wouldn't have a slew of top 10 finishes. He would just miss the cut. Would he not? Would he not? It's South Carolina. That's his home state. So I think people really do undersell Dustin here, who is now kind of in that same betting range. And going into the Masters, people thought he was playing very well. I'm not turning your Lowry question into a Dustin one. I am saying the lead-in form, though,
100%.
Shane Lowry carries a lot of that even better, just without that sort of super elite or name value that a Dustin Johnson would carry. Another guy who I think I could argue, and I think I made the mistake early in the week. It's only Tuesday, but by early in the week, I mean on Monday, kind of discounting because I fell in love with Lowry and Fitzpatrick potentially would be Corey Connors, who's doing a lot of the identical things that Shane Lowry has done in the last run, except he takes back bigger points. But yeah, Lowry, Fitz, Connors, a lot of guys whose game could fit perfectly here. I have not been betting Shane Lowry. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he won, but I don't see myself making that move this week.
Yeah, it's tough towards the top. And I kind of mentioned to you today, there's a boost over on Caesars that's pretty interesting. Help me kind of break this one down, because when I get or bets like 3 guys to win, it's hard to figure out if it's actually value. So Caesars right now is offering 7-1 on Morikawa, Lowry, or M to win. And to be honest with you, rather than taking the 20 or 22 on Lowry that we're getting out there, wouldn't it be better just to pair him with Sungjae Im and Colin Morikawa at 7-1? Because I mean, you're already getting Morikawa at what, 13, 14-1? Pairing 3 of the top 10 favorites together at 7, you can only bet $100 max. But at the same time, if I can talk myself into 3 of them, which 3 guys that are rating out pretty well for me, I mean, we've seen DJ, some of these guys, when this field was weaker, coming at 7-8-1, right?
I am like, understand, if you saw my high school report cards, math is not my strong suit. On the fly, like, wouldn't you just be better off betting all 3 of those guys individually?
Depends what you're maxing, I guess. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing that's tough, because it's like you can't put in a parlay. You can't run it through any type of sim to see if it's value.
Trust me, you can have guests on that could tell you how good or bad that is value-wise. I'm not capable of that, Dom.
Yeah, math wasn't really my sweet
like,
spot
I don't
either.
know. I would just be like, I feel like I could get more by betting all 3 of them, even if they weren't, say, my outright bets, and I wanted to make that prop as like a side thing. I still feel like it would be more advantageous to make smaller wagers on all 3 of them than to take the 7-1, because even if Morikawa hits, what is he, 14-15-1 I've seen?
I got 13-14 right now, it looks like.
Yeah, so let's just say 14, and you bet 100, you bet a unit on each, which you probably wouldn't do. You would still take back plus 12. If Lowry won at 22 and you put a unit on each, you would still take back plus 20.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at
But I'm not, again, the sharpest knife in the drawer with quick on the spot, like math that I'm sure someone's laughing
And I'm
at.
sure you could break it down and go into all
But
of it.
I don't know. For me, if you had the resources in your account to not bet them all, to bet them all instead of only having enough to make, say, one bet, then I think you're better off betting them all separately at their current numbers.
Especially if you like all three of them equally. I was just looking at FanDuel has the new finishing position parlays. I did just to throw it in there to see what the math checked out at. Morikawa top 5 parlayed with Lowry top 10, Sung Jae top 20, 40 to 1. And none of the guys even have to win it. So you're right. I mean, there are definitely ways around that bet. Because the only thing that was weird to me, the rest of Caesar's boosts weren't really technically boosts.
Well,
they were bad numbers,
yeah,
and people are going to bite.
We're seeing a lot of that, and listen. I think it's great. It's a good step. There's competition in the marketplace. These boosts are nice, but you want to offer a boost? Let me boost whoever I want. You know what I mean? Let me let me pick any. Yeah,
pick any 3 for 7 to 1.
I would say to that. Again, there are a lot of players I like, or I think I like this week, Dom, but then I'm reminded that I get really afraid of Morikawa, even Justin Thomas, and it makes me
scared to death of Justin Thomas this week. Yeah,
if I'm just investing into a black hole by playing those longer odds, and I don't even mean triple digits, I just mean those very attractive names that are up the board a little.
Yeah, and we can really skip it and get up the board because I don't know. This is one where I want to pick anyone outside of the top. I obviously talked about Lowry. I'm in on him. I will probably throw something. I mean, shorter tracks he's been good at. Pete Dye, you can go on and on about his form, where he's at in the world. He's got the 2 top 10 finishes. So I'm sold on Lowry outside of 20 to 1. Outside of that, Jeff, I don't know how aggressive I'm going to get from an outright perspective, just based off of all of the different type of winners that we've seen at all the different type of numbers that we've seen. I would rather just stick to the top 40s and top 20s of guys in the middle that are really sticking out to me.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. That seems like a pretty advantageous way to find some really good opportunities. Like me, I like to play in the outright market. I go ice cold through Florida and then come up cold after Florida. And, it's been a while since I've hit a winner. But going farther, like into the next year, I have bet Daniel Berger at 35 to 1. There was an enhanced offering at a site, and Neiman at 35 and some little points, 35 plus 3550. Weird number. Just say, should have just said 35 to 1. I'm sorry. So those are 2 guys that I have bet. I kind of do trust in their ceiling for them to go play target golf. Berger, I think he loves target golf. I think his form has been a lot, at least as a Berger apologist, maybe I can find ways to argue that his form has been quite good. I like the small green target golf victory at Pebble Beach, because that also maybe makes me think, do I want to bet a Mav McNeely, who's had success there, or Tom Hoagie, which is a weird correlation, Pebble Beach to the Heritage. But, there are some guys that do seemingly play well at both, but Berger and Neiman are the shortest bets that I've made this week.
Yeah, I can't make a case against either of them. Those are 2 of the guys that I've been betting ever since they basically came on. I mean, it seems like a course that is going to fit both of their games. They're in a good spot thanks to the elite guys towards the top of the board. So you're getting pretty good numbers on those guys, right around 30, 35 to 1 for both of them. Touch on Mav McNeely. You mentioned his name. I wasn't too confident in an outright. I like Mav a lot. Rates out well for me this week. He's been playing good, but I got him at even money for a top 40 right when they dropped last night, I want to say yesterday afternoon, maybe last night. I'd have to look at the timestamp, but since then, that number on FanDuel's vanished. I will take even money on Mav McNeely to finish top 40. Right now, it's minus 160. I usually don't get inside the once you start working towards minus 125, minus 150. I'd rather not bet a top 40, but even money, I'll take that all day.
Yeah, so I am. I'll be investing in Mav this week. I'm disappointed to hear how much it would cost on a top 40 market right now, but be it DFS or some other prop markets, maybe the outright market, I am still considering it. I do agree, but a lot of these outrights I think are big asks. He is playing very nice golf, very tidy golf at the moment. There are a lot of reasons to think that Harbour Town and his previous results there could carry over, but I'm also having trouble thinking a Bermuda win is sort of in his in the near future.
Yeah,
but as someone who's not like a greens expert, I would argue, like, I don't know, if you like or you have success on POA greens, aren't Bermuda greens like perfect, like manicured perfect? Like, shouldn't you like them? But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know too much. I'm not a greens expert either, but you would think so. Speaking of Mav McNeely, I mean, still a guy who's 26 years old in search of his first PGA Tour victory, which I don't think we're too far from. Not sure if this is the spot, but really ever since the start of 2021, so like 15 months here, he's been playing some great golf, just very consistent. 2 for 2 lifetime at the Heritage, obviously the T4 last April. But looking into his Valero, which was the last event we saw him, because he's one of the few guys towards the top that didn't play last week at the Masters, which I don't mind getting into. But T35 at Valero, top 10 in ball striking, top 10 in approach. That's what I'm looking for heading into this week. So don't know if I can get there from an outright perspective, but in terms of some props, I wouldn't be too shocked to see Mav McNeely make his way up the leaderboard this week whatsoever.
Yeah, and again, he's a guy that I'm still circling around, but there's a lot of guys in that range that I'm intrigued by, and a lot of them have never won anything. Alex Noren is in that range as a guy I'm intrigued by. Certainly Siwoo Kim has won a few things. He's a guy I feel like I definitely should be investing some money on this week. Adam Hadwin up in that range. I know I have bet Kevin Na at 66-1, but I know him and Kisner have been incredibly popular this week, and their numbers have been bet down. But Na's the third guy that I've actually bet this week already with Neiman and Berger. But again, there are a few guys in this 50 and above range. Harold Varner, Dom, that I'm really thinking about maybe betting this week. I'm seeing like a 68 on Tommy Fleetwood, which always tempts me. So there's but in the end, geez, maybe I should just bet one of the better players instead of 3 of these guys for the same price. So we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of Fleetwood, Jeff, got to bring it up. That picture of him and his son. I thought that had some resemblance of you, and I thought that was hilarious when I saw that tweet.
Yeah, I liked it. His kid looks like a doll.
I know.
So
I know. It almost looked
good for me. I mean, people think it might look like me. It literally looked like wasn't human, like one of those porcelain dolls.
Glass eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this range, Varner, the best I was seeing that I have availability to is 60-1 at Bet Rivers for HV3. That's a spot where I'd be willing to lay the top 6 each way. RBC guy, kind of obligated to show out, right? I mean, it just makes sense. Had the win at Saudi earlier this year in a strong field,
and he
obviously.
Played well here, played great here last year. He's the guy from the Carolinas. He played. He got a full bag in sort of his first Masters experience. Got some real good, got some real bad, but got 4 rounds out of it. And I think, Yeah, I don't know. I just like the way that the 170-yard iron range seems to be one that he pops in that he can take full advantage of.
Yep.
I
And
I am a loyalist to Harold, but he misses a lot of, just because you see on Shot Tracker it's 6 feet for birdie, you gotta hold your breath still.
yeah, and speaking of his first time at the Masters, like being able to finish T23 and shooting an 80 in the same tournament speaks volumes. I mean, we saw different weather throughout the week, obviously, but being there for the first time, 3 really good rounds, and like you said, 1 really bad one. And it's kind of crazy to see the success that he has at some of these shorter courses, being a quote unquote longer hitter on tour.
Yeah, and just the opportunities. I mean, I don't know, like maybe that's more my perception than reality, but it does seem like he has got an ability to create lots of opportunities for birdie. Something I'm looking for this week. Winning score historically pretty low. And I mean, as much as I've still like, I haven't even counted out betting DJ, although I don't think I'm going to because I like too many guys. I've made the 3 bets and I just like too many guys here. And despite the case I can make for Dustin, if you look at the past winners, they really all do seem to fit like a very specific player profile.
Accurate, short hitter. What
Like I joked with Mayo, who was touting Brian Harman, and I'm like, forgetting like all your current form and your stats. Brian Harman literally looks like Adam Hadwin, Brian Harman. Their names would fit perfectly on beside the list of past winners here. They'd fit right in. But as would Colin Morikawa, right? Like just very accurate, just iron disciple. It was a course that Jim Furyk was absolutely phenomenal at, and as we know, Tiger called Morikawa the Jim Furyk of our time. I don't know if I think that could be an insult. I don't know how serious Tiger was. I don't know who he was trying to insult or compliment with that, but yes, and I don't know. So Varner again could fit right in here. He has acknowledged. My only concern is it's not even like fatigue. It's he's acknowledged in the past. I swear that if you look at some of the quotes from last year, like he really gets himself up for this event in Carolina at home. It's almost like his 5th major. So you could argue that as a good thing or a bad thing. But anybody that's like seen any of like deep features on Harold knows that he loves, even though he hasn't succeeded as much as like people would want, despite winning being hard, he like truly loves and cherishes like the moment. So
yeah,
maybe we can have one for him this weekend. Another guy, even if I don't go to the window with the outright, they're gonna be real heavy DFS props, the whole shebang, Dom.
Yeah, he's a fair price, and the furthest down you get if you're doing the top 40, minus 120, the way he's playing. I mean, like I said, I don't like to get into that range, but you can make the case for it if you have confidence in him, but don't want to bet the whole ladder. I mean, you could start at 30, work your way up if you're not feeling the outright, but I will have an outright sprinkle on him. And a lot of times, Jeff, with this RBC heritage, I like to see if like I can picture the guy wearing the plaid jacket at the end of the week. Like, just can you imagine like these people holding the trophy, wearing the jacket, like you said, Hadwin, Harman? Those are the type of guys that I don't know. I don't know. That's just when I'm doing my outrights. Can you picture it? Little things.
Okay, we can do that. I mean, Naz won Colonial, so
yeah,
this is like the other sub jacket. I guess on that note, I don't know. Alex Noren feels like he would look pretty good in the tartan.
I could see it. I could see that. Hadwin, though, he is one guy that is on my betting card. We'll get to at the end of the show here. I feel like he's making his way onto a lot of people's cards. 65-1. You kind of mentioned that.
I mean, the stats from the players in Valero and the number and
unreal.
The fact that he's an ideal profile fit with past winners, I see how it makes sense. And
the only thing is, like, his history here isn't great by any means. I mean, he has yet to crack the top 20. He's 4 of 6 lifetime. He's gained on approach in a majority of these. Hasn't been too great around the green. I don't care about what he did in 2015, 2016, but it's at least worth like noting what he was able to do here, because I've been on the Hadwin train for quite a while. I had him, I think, his second year in my season long, and plays well at these type of courses. It's just weird to see that in 6 tries he hasn't cracked the top 20. So that's a little concerning, but just seeing where his game's at right now, you can definitely make the case for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange to think you would just blindly assume he'd have better results here, but the form is good. The course fit, at least to our perception or just like blind assumption, seems absolutely optimal.
Yeah. Getting down a little bit further, not too many outrights in this range. Hoagie's popped for me a little bit. Aaron Wise, I like a lot from a top 40 perspective. DraftKings hung a 180 to 1 on him right when they released their odds. I jumped on that. I felt pretty good on that. Just a sprinkle of Wise nearing 200 to 1 at a spot that I feel like he rates out pretty well. Sebastian Munoz is an interesting one for me at 100 to 1 on FanDuel. Missed the cut last year, or missed the cut at his first event in 2022. I meant Amex. Since then, it's been on a hot streak, 5 straight. Had a decent showing in the match play event, but Sebastian Munoz is the guy who seems to sit in this 100 to 1 range at a lot of these events, and he has win equity. He's been pretty good on approach. Missed the cut last year at the RBC Heritage on the number. 2020, he finished T28. Outside of that, he hasn't played here since those 2, but like he shot 1 under here in 2 rounds last year. Since 04, the cut line's only been under par 2 times, and that was one of them. So the missed cut isn't as bad as people might make it out to be, but I think Munoz at 100 to 1 is worth a look.
Yeah, I mean, totally playing the ceiling. He's got that old Siwoo habit of like either T5ing or being horrible.
Yeah. Which is scary, but fun.
Yeah, scary and fun. In this, because there just seems to be a lot of guys that I like, as I mentioned, that are stacked in front of like 80 to 1, like between 50 and 80. I haven't really thought that I'm going to play much in this range, although there are some books that have some real big Mito Pereira numbers, Dom, that I could find myself sucked into. Dylan Fratelli, triple digits is something I could get sucked into. I don't know that I'll be there on the outright, but I'm going to be investing in Lahiri this week at just a little plotters course. Seems to set up very nicely for Lahiri, and I'm going to bet. I don't know. That I'm going to bet. Well, I didn't say I'm going to bet outright, but I'm going to have something invested in Bo Hostler as well. I've seen as high as 150 to 1 on the outright market. It can be hard to trust a guy who seemed like when he needed it the most, he couldn't drive, he couldn't turn, he couldn't hit a bunker shot. But I think this is a layout that he can definitely keep his form, which has been pretty consistent this year.
Yeah, it has. Especially, I mean, lost his card this year and has came out playing like he has something to prove, and he does. He has to get his PGA Tour card back. He's young enough. I didn't expect him to lose it that soon in his career. He was so close to a win at a number of times early in his career. And yeah, that's a great number that we're getting on Bo. Mentioned Fratelli. That's one guy who I've been looking at a top 40 plus 165. I'm on that one. If you want a good balance of recent form and course history, Fratelli brings that to the table, and you're getting 165 to 1. I think that's pretty good odds since he started off slow, but he's shown a lot since.
Yeah, 165 seems fantastic because I'm seeing like 110, and I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, anything over even money is, I would say, good value on Fratelli based off of the way that he's playing. I mean,
I'm
he's
gonna go look
shown
at
really
that.
good form.
Look one more time at what that Fratelli number was.
Outright wise.
Yeah. Got some of these
And that's
weird.
another guy with win equity. I mean, we've seen him do it before. We've seen him have success on the Euro Tour before he came over this way. I'm showing Fratelli one as low as 80 and as high as 125. If you can get it.
Yeah.
Both fair. I mean, like I said, outright wise, I'm not sure, but in terms of getting a top 40 out of him, he's making the cut. If he makes the cut, I would assume he's a guy that's going to stay up that way. I've seen him not do that making the cut, but I mean, you can say that for everyone. Bombs. This is the place for it, Jeff. Like if we want to sprinkle a couple bucks, have some fun. I mean, obviously we've seen it before. I don't know how deep you really want to go, but as you look down the board, there's some interesting names.
Yeah, I mean, I've honestly feel like I've given you as deep as I have in me already. I've noticed the Adams Fenson party on Twitter. That would be incredible. I saw some huge numbers out on him this week, but I don't know. I mentioned the few guys that have triple digits or around 100 that I'm interested in. I don't see myself going farther.
Yeah, I didn't.
You could talk me into someone, but I don't have a name.
Outright wise, I don't think there's much talking into I can really do in this range. Svensson, I was trying to bet the ladder on him because DraftKings posted some fantastic numbers yesterday. Connection went out, got away from the zone where I didn't have any connection. Number was gone. DraftKings yanked everything, adjusted it, but I think it was like 400 to 1. Like the people that he was listed next to was like, I didn't understand it personally. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and win it, but when you see a guy like that at 400,
the way he had been, playing, the way the stats show that he can just stick it, just crush those greens and reg, and you hope for the hot putter. That's crazy. 400 to 1. Wow. Yeah. I'm jealous of those guys. But I don't know. We don't even see group wins when we bet on good players. There's going to be a group win on the Super Bomb. That would be something. The way I'm running, I'll miss it. So it is what it is.
So if I'm selling you on anything tonight, Jeff, top 40, Henrik Norlander.
Yes.
DraftKings is throwing a 4 to 1. FanDuel's 360, I believe, plus 360. Just strictly looking at his Valero Texas Open stats. I mean, finished T53, can overlook that, can say wasn't great, but you look deeper into the stats. First in greens and regulation, third in ball striking, 6th off the tee, 6th in approach, 8th tee to green. Couldn't putt. When you get on the greens here, they're small enough for me to be able to overlook that. I mean, if I'm getting Henrik Norlander to finish top 40 and he was that good in a field at Valero that wasn't all that weak, I don't see why you wouldn't go 4 to 1 on him to finish inside the top 40.
Yeah. And as we saw last year, Dom, he did, when he was peaking with those irons, he did ride them for a little bit at a time. It was very early in the year, I think, out in Phoenix and around California. So hopefully he can ride the form of those scorching irons. That's a great bet. I'm going to use that in my odds checker props column. Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of the deepest odds on DraftKings, and they honestly have yet to adjust it. I mean, other guys who are plus 400 for a top 40, Chesson Hadley, Kevin Tway, Nick Watney, Richie Werenski. I mean, guys who have just shown absolutely nothing, and they're not adjusting the Norlander number for whatever reason. FanDuel started the number up and stayed there. Not up. I mean, 360 is 360, but if I can get 40 points, going to go that way. So, yeah, good number. I like to just kind of compare that to who they're listed around. You mentioned his form last year. Yeah, second at Farmers, 12th at the Amex, 22nd at Waste Management, 26th at AT&T, 4 in a row. And even the back end of the fall last year, 4th at Sanderson. I mean, he's shown it. He hasn't been great this year by any means. Lots of missed
asking
cuts.
for a top 40, so just bring his irons, small greens. You'll make top 40 just by two-putt it, like just by doing what you got to do.
Exactly.
And then taking advantage when you do stick it to 3 feet.
Yep. So outside of that, we'll kind of wrap up here, go over my final betting card for everyone who didn't see early in the show. Shane Lowry, 22-1, not going to miss it. I don't want to by any means. Season-long guy, so you can cross that off if you want, because I do tend to get tunnel vision on these guys. Adam Hadwin, just playing really well. One of the guys near the top of the board who we didn't see at the Masters this past week at 65-1. That number's over on FanDuel. Sebastian Munoz, guy with win equity, 100-1. We'll throw a sprinkle there. And then some top 40 guys. Dylan Fratelli, Aaron Wise touched on both. The other two, Jeff, that are on my card right now, Lucas Glover and Nate Lashley, two guys that are also in pretty good form when it comes to irons, when it comes to ball striking. The Lashley 240 is very interesting to me. I like him a lot heading into this week, but outside of that, let's just who do you got to win, Jeff? Give me your winner.
So winner Daniel Berger.
Fair enough, and I'm obviously going to go. I'm going to go Shane Lowry here, but I don't know. This is one where, like I said, not willing to go crazy towards the top just because of how strong the top of the board is. If you want to go crazy and get some bombs on your card, feel free. It's happened before. Wouldn't go too far based off of how elite it is. But outside of that, Jeff, thanks for joining me. Everyone go check out Fantasy Points PGA content. Scrolling down across the bottom, if you use promo code CINTO22, you can get 10% off the standard package. You can do a month, you can do a year, whatever you want. Check it out. Great content over there. We'll have the final points show tomorrow night, DFS stuff with Jersey betting. So be sure to swing into that. And Jeff, thanks for coming on.
No worries. Anytime, Dom. Looking forward to it. Fun time of year. Let's get after it.
See ya.